first week in November. But basically November 7th, it's all about just your final project. And I'll schedule that too. Oh, one more thing. I don't want to have it be where like 5 people just work for 8 days and then 5 people sit around for 8 days. I'm trying to make it to where it's like you work a day, somebody works the next day, somebody works the next, you trade off. So you work a day, the next person works, somebody else.
So basically 4 days.
You can alternate so that it's not just like 8 days going and then 8 days off. So that everybody can at least work more. I don't know. Would you guys rather just work 8 days straight?
Yeah.
8 days straight? And then that means all the other people are going to be, they're going to be waiting around 8 days without anything. So is that, you guys want to do it that way? What's like if we took a vote, what would you guys want to do?
8 days.
Alternate or do 8 days straight?
8 days.
8 days straight? Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
So we'll
And then
have afterwards, or after, we'll have time to work on the project.
What's that?
We'll have time to work on the project today.
Yeah, let's see, we got a red day today, so it should be time, but at least we'll basically have time. Tomorrow we don't have class, right, because it's a gold day. So then
Yeah.
Friday you'll get to work on it, but really then all next week. So the last week of October, will be this one. So, I know I'm looking ahead too quick, but I don't want to get to the end of the semester and be out of time. So let's see, so this one will be called, same thing, your last name. So take some organized notes so you know what to do on all these projects. Actually, I'll make sure that I'm cool. So now I gotta go back. I have this set up for the teacher station, so I gotta make sure I'm back. Oh, one more thing too. If you're the last one on your station, please turn off the speakers and turn off the keyboards and put the computers in sleep. So if you know the bell's about to ring and you're the last person, turn everything off. That helps me a little bit. It just takes a little extra time. Okay, so Uccello, whatever your last name is, automation, and crossfade.
We just need ACF.
Sure. Yeah, ACF if you want to make an abbreviation. Automation and crossfade, or crossfades, whatever. The crossfade part's going to be a super tiny part of this project. I might just do that first so you can see what's up with it. Okay, automation and crossfades, if you want to say ACF. Crossfades is one word, but...
Mr. John,
dude, right when we begin the lecture. Okay, all right.
coffee, just saying.
Can you copy off someone's notes?
Put Jay's recording, so I'll just get off him too.
Okay.
I like the coffee just sank
No,
into my
I
stomach
know,
right now.
I'm noticing a pattern, man. It was like, right, this is part you're supposed to work in. The call of nature.
Oh.
Okay, so 24-bit, 44.1. Here we go. Okay, so let's see here. Get this floppy in there. I think we can get away with. I'll try to keep this really simple. Try to keep this really simple here. So first, we'll do the crossfades component of this project. Like I said, this can be separate projects, but I'm putting them together because I feel like we want to move a little faster at school. So we'll do a mono audio track. You can only do these on an audio track. So I'll just do this right off the bat. It's super easy. There's nothing to it. So let's say, what's that? Yeah, so one so far. This is for the automation part. I'm going to add another synthesizer track and all that. But right now, the automation part, we're just putting it together in one project. Sort of putting two things. So first, the crossfades. There's nothing to it. It's super easy, but it's really useful. So you get an audio track. Let's just say I'll just record nothing. I'll just record a shape here. Okay. So blah blah blah. It's recording. We'll just let it go. It's like 8 seconds long. So there's an audio track. Okay. Hit save. So let's say you had something, where you're doing like a guitar part or something, and, I'll give it a good example here of it. I'll record two little spots here.
This is basically what you talked about yesterday.
No, this is different. This is different. So, let's say like, there's a song we're doing, and the guitar player is, like, hey man, I can't play the whole thing all the way through from start to finish. Can I do like the verse first, and then we can go in and do the chorus? Or let's say he records the whole thing, and he's like, that was a good track, except I'd like to do that one little part again. But everything else was good, but I want to do that one little part again. What's that? Yeah, it's very, very common practice, you know. The simpler music is, the more you're expected to just play it all the way through. The more complicated it gets, you can kind of patch it in, you know, little things like that. So let's say he recorded his first part here, and then he did this other part here, and there's this gap in between. Or let's just say that, like you wanted to fix something, and so you're like, okay, that note is bad in there, so I'm gonna like highlight that and delete it. So either way, you have two things, right? And then when the track goes on and off, you can hear a little space of sound in there, or maybe even a little pop. So you want to do is, if you scoot them together, so basically, we'll just go with this here. Whatever you got to do to make two forms like this, scooch it together with the grabber tool, and then, I'll expand it here so you can see it better. So there's our thing. If you go to the grabber tool, remember, scoots stuff, and the highlighter tool can highlight. So you're like, okay, there's this space between these two tracks. I want to make that so they fade together. They fade into each other. So you highlight it, and I'm going to put it on slip for now. You highlight, let's say you're like, I want to make it really, just barely any of it so you can not tell. You highlight that cross section, and you just hit Command F. And then you get this little pocket that goes up there. Yeah.
You have like two instruments though, you could slide them together and like they make the little yellow blocks.
Uh-huh.
And then it makes it like one whole thing.
Does it put the crossfade on there, or does it just?
I mean, it just makes it one thing.
Uh-huh.
And then like, that's what I've been doing kind of.
Yeah, so this is also more for audio recording. You can't do a crossfade. If you highlight a MIDI track, like if you highlight a MIDI track and hit Command F, you won't get this dialog box. So this is for audio. And it's a handy way when you're editing and mixing stuff together that you can make stuff that's all chunked out sound smooth. So it's a super useful tool. It's really common. I do it all the time when I'm doing a project. So here's the standard shape, right? One fades out, the other one fades in. You can get different shapes on there. So here's like first one, an S curve, that fades out a little quicker, and that fades up a little faster back there. You can get this one where it's just like a straight line, and then you can kind of get these different shapes, just in or out, you know, straight line and a curved line. So that gives you some different stuff. Then there's this other one, equal gain, where it's exactly, one goes out at exactly the same time. And again, then you can do none, and you can grab this little corner, and you can be like, dude, I want that first one to fade in super quick, and I want the other one to fade out really slowly. So, and this is all about your ears. When you get something going on, to make it sound natural, you can experiment with all these parameters, and you can make it sound natural. Generally, so that's if you have none on line in, line out, on a link. There's an S curve again. There's a bunch of other shapes you can make it be. Standard S curve, but if you want to shape it by hand, you gotta do, you gotta hit none right there. Otherwise, you can do equal power, equal gain. So use your ears to tell you what's that, what, you know, not sure what that one does. Use your ears to tell you, generally in the past, if I just leave everything alone and it's just that, it generally will sound pretty healed up, you know, the separation. So then you hit OK, and you got a crossfade. I don't want to take too much time to do that. Later, we might actually do something where it's like record some audio, chop it up. Like the editing, we did sort of stage 1 of editing. We might do more intense editing where I'll say, record something, make a mistake, edit in something right, and do a crossfade so I can't tell that you didn't edit, stuff like that. We might get more intense editing in the spring. But for now, I just want you to know crossfade. It's super easy. You just highlight it, put it on. And I think if you want to, well, that's it for now. Let's see, if you want to highlight it, yeah, you just double click it. So there's Command F, it's on there. Let's say you don't like it, you want to get rid of it, double click and hit delete and it goes away. So super easy, but it's just kind of just to get you going here on how to do that. Okay, so that's the crossfade. Super easy, but it's very useful tool. Okay, so now the next one is going to be the automations, and that's going to be a little more involved. So we're going to go to a stereo instrument track, right? Instrument track. We can do our MIDI instruments. And you guys should be getting all comfortable with all this, you know, the windows. I'm kind of a neat freak. I like to have it. Really, I just want to have as much, I want to see as much of the waveform as I can when I'm editing, because it sucks to have to zoom in and zoom out too many times. Okay, so there's our instrument track. Let's hit save. I'll put an instrument on there. Let's see here. I think what I did, I did kind of a test one last night. Okay, so we'll test our track here. Of course, there's always something. And what is the thing? It's on. We're getting level. Check the PA.
Restart.
That's set. Oh, I try all the simple stuff first.
Yeah, the program probably just crashed.
There. This is in. That's in.
Speakers are on.
That is on. Let me check the PA. It's always something here. So that going there, and that's going here. Input, input.
Mr. Uccello, is that a mono audio track?
What's that?
Is the second one a mono audio track?
Is it a what? No, it's an instrument track.
Stereo instrument?
Stereo instrument, yeah.
Two PAs working.
Is this?
Are we off the crossfade at this point?
Yeah, the crossfade was just, that's it. It's just sticking a crossfade on there. Super simple. Now, I need sound, man. Oh, see, it put the sound to the HDMI. So there we go. It's kind of weird. Once it recognized the monitor. Okay, so now, in theory, this should work. Might have to turn it off and on again. MIDI setup.
Close enough.
It's just switching around so much, it just gets it, it's all confused. So I think what I might do then is just close it and open it again. That. And if this doesn't work, I will, oh, that was the other one I did. Let's see here. I did this. Here we go. Ah, computers. What to live through.
R.I.P.
You got
notes.
instrument track. No explanation, just off and on again. It's totally annoying. All the same track a million times over and over again. But if you want to do music, you got to just go through all this. It's like learning an instrument. You just over and over, you just work out all the bugs. Okay, so I might just go for the sound on this doesn't matter too much, but maybe something not too layered up already. What did I did one? Actually, it could be even weirder. What did I do? There was one called Alien Pads I liked yesterday. There's that. Pad layers, action pads. Let's see here. Oh, those are action pads. There's one. Ambience. Let's see.
I think I saw aliens on one.
I just saw like alien.
Is it on top pads? I don't see it there.
I saw it on one.
Add layers, percussive, polysynth, some brasses, soft leads. Doesn't really matter too much.
Wait, I see it.
There it is. All right. We'll try. I said alien pads before. Well, I'll try it. Let's see what it does. That's half the fun of this. Is just discovering all the sounds. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So you can pick something weird. You can pick something weird. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys should be too. You should be exploring all the different ones you got. You know what I mean? There's hundreds of sounds in there. So don't use the same one every time. And then that way, by the end of the year, you'll have at least like 10 or 12 that you like. I'll go for this one. Okay, we'll see how might not be the best one here, but let's try it. Okay, so I'll just record it for a little while. Oops. Go back to the beginning. Okay. I just hold it down for a while. What does it do to cast other stuff at the end, I think? No. Okay, that's it.
Oh, there it goes.
Did it do more?
Yeah.
My other keyboard had more stuff. Let's try it from here.
You want us to use this specific?
Use any sound you want on this. Maybe just not drums.
Just not drums?
Just not drums. Do something that's tonal. Something that has a tone, like a pad or a synth pad or a lead. This one just goes. The other one has, my keyboard has a sensitivity. You can press the key harder, and it'll go like, yeah, these other weird sounds in it. Okay, so that, oh, I think when I hit drop, that's something. Okay. Anyway, not important. So there we go. There's our alien pad. Sounds pretty cool. So see, like, some other person created that. That was someone else's gig. You guys can learn how to stack stuff up like that. Like we're doing the drum beats and stuff with bass lines. You can be the people who create these tracks and sell them to these companies, right? So we're using this one. It's kind of canned. Okay, so the first off is automations. There's a couple ways you can do it. So the first ones are these parameters on the edit window, the editing window. So first off, this little spot right here is really important. Right now you're seeing clips. You guys already know from an editing project, you can see notes. I can change those notes. In fact, I could even take a note, copy it, put it above, and paste. I could have two. Now I got two different notes. Right? So those are notes. Velocity is your volume. Right? You can change your volume. But what we're going to do, then there's MIDI volume, MIDI mute, MIDI pan. So those are automations. But first one, we only start everything kind of on square one. First one I want you to do is go to audio volume. So, in fact, we'll leave it on clips. But then go to audio volume. Audio volume. So there, check it out. You've got that little doodad right there, huh? And a line that goes across. So that's your volume. I'm sure there's a way we could have it show where the volume is on this little grid, but you can see whatever it's about, like 3/4 of the way up, right? Which makes sense because that matches our fader, what's on the fader. So let's get it so you can just see the audio volume. This is the easy part. And then you can't use the multiple tool, you have to just use the grabber tool. You can add these little nodes, and you can fade the volume down. Okay? So when it gets to the automation, watch the fader. It's moving down. In the old days, you'd have a real mixing board, and a guy would have to be doing that. And that's going back up again. Great effect. Mixing is all about volumes, you know? So that's just a volume automation of the audio volume.
I was not paying attention. I forgot when you
Okay, I'll show you again.
clicked. Is that audio volume right there?
Yeah, that's just audio volume. So if you go on the edit window, and you see this right here, it's got, right, normally you'd see clips. It's on clips usually. Or if you're on audio, it'll say waveform. But for instrument MIDI track, we're on clips. So you go down to audio volume. So that's the first one, it's just the lowering, raising.
Edit window and audio volume.
Yeah, over by this where it says the track, audio volume. Or you could do like, you could just make the whole thing fade out. Make it get really loud. Make it get all quiet. And let's say some other stuff is going on and you want that to fade out. So then I've got a volume fade all the way down. Then if you want to slow fade out, right? It's all this trippy stuff. Like you're listening to like a track and it's like the end of the track has some little weird fade out and you hear these little weird stuff at the end of a track. Listen more closely when you're listening to stuff and see if you can notice some of these. Fading out is a really nice trick. So then, and this is really big in mixing. So let's say you've got like the guitar, rhythm guitar. Oh, when the singer comes in, the rhythm guitar is too loud. Lower the rhythm guitar a little bit when the singer enters. When the singer stops, you can raise it back up again. So there's all, for mixing and for creative stuff, it's really handy. So let's say you go, I don't like that at all. I want to erase those things, but how do you erase them? Well, you go to your selector tool, and you just select them across, and just hit delete. And then you have to use this is where you have to use the individual tools. You can add ones. Sometimes I'll just go in and, like if I know I have an intricate part I'm going to do, I'll just go like this. It's like, let's say I know I'm going to want to bring it up and down a bunch of times. I might just go in and put a bunch of these dots all through it. And then I'll start working a little more detailed. Okay, that's going to go down right there. Right at about the 20-second mark, I'm going to want it to be hotter. And then at the end, I'm going to have it fade out. You know, oh, let's bring that one. And then the shapes of those too. Like sometimes you want, like, oh, let's fade it down like this. And then let's let it continue on. So it's like you think it's gone, but it's still there a tiny bit. So it's super like, especially if you're doing like ambient music, or really anything, you know, especially when we get into our film scoring, when we're going to do a project where we put music to a little clip. Or sound effects, little fade downs like this, but it's not quite gone. Or how do you do a sound if the cars or a dog's barking and it's running away? You know what I mean? Like you get a dog sound, and then you just make the volume fade down. Then when you're watching a dog run away in the film and you're hearing barking, it looks like the volume's getting quieter. So you use audio like that. So adding the nodes and then erasing the nodes using the selector or the grabber tool. So that's the first part of it, and that's just pretty simple volume automation, audio volume. You can also automate, I mean, for now, just leave it there for that. We're gonna now do another part. But you also have mute, which you can do the mute. You can do panning left or right. So, like let's say I was like, oh, how does it sound? It doesn't work so much with a stereo track. But if I want to pan something left and right, you can also make it pan left and right. Yes.
And you can do that on like an iPhone settings. If you have headphones, you can make it come out either one.
Yes, left and right. Yeah, exactly. But so here then you can actually automate it so you don't have to actually be the one moving it back and forth.
It's not about it for
No, then now we're getting to the real hard part right here. Or it's not hard part, but just now this is, next part is more involved. So that's a simple volume automation. So throw that on, and then let's say I'll just get it kind of where I like it.
So you basically do a long one and this one right
Yeah, well, so just do a volume automation out of there. So that's for the automation for that part of it. I'm not going to have you do mute or left or right pan. Just audio volume, that's it for this. Now, go back, so I got an automation in there. Goes down, it goes up. So now I'm going to go back to just the clips, but underneath that is my automation. Now, the next part is going to be automating effects. So this right now has been pretty much just simple, do this, put the line. This one's got a few steps to it. So let's say now I'm like, okay, I love that thing. I want to do, let's see, one of these weird modulation ones. What did we use before? We went to the filter gate. Is that the one that had the ring modulator in it? This is the weirdest modulation. Okay, so let's say I got this thing here. So on your effects, now that we're a little bit familiar with effects, I'll put it, I guess, right there. You can see our parameters of the effects, right? So this one is mix. How much of this effect do you want to put into your signal? So here it is with nothing, and here it is at 100%. Our speaker's still blown over there, but. So it kind of makes a difference. You can hear the difference, right? So then, let's see, let's get something super extreme. Just turn everything up a little more. Let's see here. Okay, so the envelope effect is pretty extreme, right? Sometimes you want to be subtle, but sometimes you want to have things be super out there in front for everybody to hear. So I'm going to do this. So it's like, okay, I'm tinkering around, and I'm going. It sounds cool, man. Like, what if I wanted to make that go to a drum beat? Do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, and I wanted to make something rhythmic like that. Man, but I don't want to sit there every time and do this. So we will make robots do our bidding. We'll have the automation will do it for us. So how do you make an effect have a parameter? Or how do you have the parameters of the effects have an automation? So you go click that little box right there. So see, you're in the effect. It's got all these parameters. You click up in this little box. Bam. Okay? So now, here's all the parameters of this effect. Okay? Bypass turns it on and off. Okay? The gate attack, gate hold, gate release, that's all like how you want it to, when the note first enters, how it attacks, how long it holds, and how much you want to release. The filters, cutoff resonance, but right now I'm just going to go for the really easy ones that you could really just hear. That envelope one was the one that basically went on and off, right? So I'm looking for my things, envelope, right? ENV. So there's envelope on the modulation. So I want to do that, then you hit add. Okay? So this says plug in automation. So you literally have to tell the effect, hey, I want to be able to automate this and this about you. You know? If you do that with people, it'd be nice, huh? I want you to have a less annoying personality. Here we go. Add. Hit OK. So let's do envelope mods and mix. Do you guys see how I did that? Like if I remove it, it goes back over here. You hit it, you hit add to, then you hit OK. Okay, so now we've done that. So now if you go over to your mixer, this little poppy right here says auto read. So auto is for automation, okay? And then you open that and it's got off, read, it's usually on read, which basically just means it's gonna do whatever you tell it to do. It's gonna read your commands that you're writing for it. And go over to write. Okay, now it's like a red recording light is on, okay? So now that's gonna be, it's gonna record, whatever automations you wanna do. So let's see here, I'll make sure I'm back over at 0 again. I'll leave the mix at 100% right now. And then I will just mess with the envelope. So I'm not gonna record over here on the transport. Setting that to write makes it record. We're just recording automation. We're not recording audio or any other notes. So this is done on the mixing board. So I'm gonna just push play. And then I'm gonna just go over to this thing and start turning the knob. So play. And I'll leave it up high at the end. Okay. Well, gives that effect on there. Okay, so now, I've added that. So let's hear it again, and let's watch the thing go. It's remembering everything I'm doing. Okay. If you go under, so then check it out. You've got these automations now are in this list. Remember before that wasn't there. We added those things, and so now it's there. So if I hit envelope mod, let's see it though. Mix. Let's see here. So we should see. Let's see. There we go. So if I, so there's all the stuff that I did. Let's see here. It's there. Oh, is that the volume? So, let's see here. Why am I not getting the... There we go. Oh, I didn't do that the first time. So, you can see what I drew in there, right? So I drew all those things, and now let's say I'm like, man, that was way too much, way too busy. I'm going to select a bunch of those and just delete them. And then I'm going to just add a couple simple ones in there, because I think that was way too over the top, and the client is not happy. They want it to be way more subtle. They're telling me I'm showing off my automation skills. So I'm just going to do that, and then so you can either perform it, right? You hit the record thing, and you can perform it, or the second way is you can draw it in manually, like I'm doing right here. So now it's going to do this, and it's much more gentle going in and out there. So you can draw it in or you can perform it. Depending on what I'm working on, sometimes if I try to draw it in, I feel like I can't get the right mojo if I'm drawing it in, and I have to perform it manually. Sometimes I can't quite get what I want performing manually, and I just go draw it in. So you either got to draw it in or do it manually. I guess I'd experiment with both for this project. And then right there, so you can see all that. So I've automated that. automating the effect. Let's do, I'll add a couple more here. So I maybe want you to do it with 2 effects. So the filter gate, we automated that envelope thing there. So let's just leave that one there. So do the filter gate and automate the envelope. Filter gate, automate the envelope. And then let's do one more on there. Let's throw on the reverb. And I want to do this kind of weird thing here where we'll automate the reverb. But this one, let's just automate the ins and outs. So we go up to this little box here. So there's our reverb, there's all our stuff. This one I'm just going to do the master bypass. So just do the master bypass. Master bypass, add it, hit OK. And then I want to do this thing where at the end of the piece, I want a ton of reverb to just kick on. So when the audio ends, I want it to just echo out. And this I've done this. I've had clients say, this one guy did the songwriter album. He had this song where it's all about like nature and stuff. It's like all those mountains. And then at the end of the song, it's like has this little thing that repeats and it goes into a cave. And he's like, how can we make this song sound like it's going into a cave? And I just added more and more echo and more echo. And so his voice, and then I turned everything down, but the reverb was getting more. So it just sounded like, it was like the last song on the record. It sounded like it was going into a cave. It's all trippy. So I've literally been paid to do this kind of stuff before. Little tricks, man. So the bypass is up here. And I've got my, I don't want to record there, but I'm going to hit my right. And let's say at the end of the piece, I'm going to snap on that reverb. So I'll just hit play. Or actually, I did it backwards. So let's see here. I want it to be off and then on again. Command Z? Okay. So I've got my thing. It's ready to record. Right. And it's bypassed. So let's play it. Wait for it to get to the end, and then I'll snap it on. See what kind of effect we get here. So now, all of a sudden it's echoing. It's going on forever. Okay, so I'll leave it there. But now what I'm going to do is put it back to right, or back to read. So now you're normal again. And I'm just going to crank up this reverb. I'm going to see what it does here. So now hopefully when it gets to this line right here, the bypass will turn off. A little bit before. So our reverb came on, right? The bypass was off. If I put it back there, it's red. And watch, it'll turn green. And the reverb enters. So I'm not sure exactly the placement of it. Got a little funny, but see now I can see the reverb. Oh, there we go. So that must have been something else. So there's that reverb. It's going to turn on. It's dry. It's there, right? Let's say I wanted to be weird, just turn it off. Then it'll just go off all of a sudden. Right? Let's say you're in a movie, you're having a dream, and then, oh, you wake up from the dream, right? It's like, oh, it was all a nightmare, or whatever. All these sound effects are like super powerful when you have it with the picture. So yeah, do the filter gate, and then automate the envelope, and then do the reverb and just automate the bypass. And you can start with the reverb on and turn it off, or start with the reverb off and turn it on. So yeah, this little box is the way you add those parameters. And you could probably just hit them all and add them all if you want. And then just whatever you're doing, you can just turn knobs and record, and it'll record everything you're doing. Then it just gets a little tricky when you go in to draw. At the bottom of your thing, you can draw. So there's our reverb on and off. Notice the reverb on and off is just 90-degree angles. And then the air one, it went, that's, whatever it did. It went all up and down. You guys saw that other one. These aren't exactly, maybe I changed something. But, so does that make sense? You guys can grab it? Yeah, so either you can record it and perform the automation, or you can draw it in underneath the waveform. But, yeah, but then also, take a little time and experiment too. Don't take forever, but just work on the project, get the project done. We can go through this. And then, like I said, if we take all next week, we can finish this by next week, then maybe we can fit in one more before the final. But this could be our last one before the final, so. And I'll type up the whole thing for the final. I'll hand it to you guys by the 7th. Basically, to be everything, using everything we learned with whatever creative project you want to do. So what time? Yeah, how much more time do we got? Did I talk forever? Yeah. 11:08. So we still have, right,
About an
block
hour?
2, red day. So we still have like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
11:08. We got till 11:08. Block 2, red day. So, yeah, have fun with them. It's
Jay,
all right.
I got you.
Automation.
So you laugh when you see the video again.
Let me know if there's any issues
got
on
you.
the computers. Da, 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 da.
Cancer.
You have cancer.
You have cancer.
You have cancer.
That's what I made it. I know I make it all wrong. That's the point. Want me to make the next one? Oh, cancer. It's even worse. This must have been worse. So I got it all wrong. Scary movies. Cookie, stop. Don't kill me.
Okay, I'll set up the teacher station.
Jason, I'm fine. Don't kill me.
That's right.
Not you, Jason. The one from the movie. No.
What's that commercial? They're like, let's hide in this chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Behind the
God.
chainsaws and the guys just behind there sharpening stuff.
That's a good idea.
Horror movies are so predictable, I still love them.
I do too, yeah, it's fun. I'm on a total alien right now. Alien. Somehow my son saw these like, it was like, first it went from dinosaurs, then that went to like Godzilla, and then somehow Godzilla got into Alien, like the Neomorphs. And so then it's like one day my kid's just like, oh, like something a neomorph. I'm like, how do you know about a neomorph? I found it on Google. And then but then we started watching all the, just the battle parts where it's not like two horror movies.
How old is your kid?
Aliens battling.
How old is your
But then now we're getting the toys.
8.
So he like loves like the xenomorph toys.
Yeah.
He's like,
No.
he wants a chest burster.
Yes.
Like, I want the alien egg. I want the face hugger. I want the. So we're like, it's all alien right now. I love Alien.